Hello fellow humans and welcome back to my channel. I'm Michelle Elizabeth and it has been a while since I uploaded anything. So first of all, I moved and that was back in October, but I think the last time I posted was the New Year's Eve coming into 2020. Things have been hard. Obviously, COVID started around March of last year and I've been working the whole time. Yeah, things got pretty hard, and then I actually ended up getting a new job too. That happened at the end of last October. So I both moved and got a brand new job within a couple of weeks, and it was hard. We don't even have a rig here, so I wouldn't be able to do a suspension video at home if I wanted to, which has been sad and kind of hard. So eventually I do hope to start making rope videos again, so we'll see, but I wanted to come by because I had this idea where I thought it might be fun to take you on a tour of my tattoos. So I actually had to make a list because I have a lot, which if you haven't noticed. So I thought we might as well start with the artist who's done the majority of my tattoos, and that would be James Scott, who currently works at Sacred Traditions in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. I had to drive pretty far to go down to see James, but he was always worth it. I think the first piece that I got from him was my chest piece. This one actually has a lot of meaning behind it for me. There is the diurnal butterfly sitting on the right-hand shoulder, which signifies the angel, versus the death's head moth on the left side where the devil sits. And I kind of wanted to do something a little bit more like feminine but a little bit darker, and so I had this idea to do a lace tattoo. And I very specifically wanted to leave space in between because when I'm wearing necklaces, I don't like it to lie on top of my tattoos. So I actually, whenever I wear a necklace, it falls right in between. James also has done my back piece, which is something I had also wanted for a really long time. I, for some reason, always super wanted to get like full back angel wing tattoos, and for years I was just like, no, I can't actually do that. Like, it's so stereotypical. It's not exactly an original idea, but I was just so in love with it. Like, I just always wanted one, and then finally I was just like, you know what? If I've wanted it that bad for this long, I should just do it. And so I came up with a couple of reference photos because I prefer the way it looks to have a spine, because a lot of people have the version where like it's kind of coming straight out from the shoulder blades, but I wanted something that had a connection to the body in it. And so we came up with this, which I love. It's one of my favorite tattoos, even though it's one of the ones that I never see, but it's there. James is also the person who did my deep sea sleeve, which originated with just the mermaid here. I hadn't intended to do a sleeve, I just really wanted the skeletal mermaid because I've seen a picture of one at one point and just thought it was like the coolest thing ever, even though I'm not really into mermaids. It's not my thing, but here we go, mermaid tattoo, because why not? But after I got that, I liked the idea of extending it into a sleeve. And so the next part that we did was the anglerfish. And that's when it started to become the deep sea theme, because I do find the deep sea fascinating. Like, the Mariana Trench is just super cool to me, and all the strange little creatures that live down there. So in the end, it all kind of worked out, but it was not, it's a little bit misleading, mayhaps. And then finally, we needed to finish the piece with something, and so we tried to find a creature that lived in around the same level of the ocean as the anglerfish, and that's how we came up with the viperfish idea. I don't think I've ever actually counted the number of teeth on my arm, but it's a lot. So James also has done both of my thigh tattoos. So I have one that is Medusa here on my right thigh, and this one was kind of actually random because what happened was James had posted a picture on Facebook of this drawing that he had done, and he was like, hey, who wants to get this as a tattoo? And for me, it's again not necessarily that I've been like, oh yeah, I want to get a Medusa tattoo. It was, I want to get a tattoo that covers my thigh, and it was just a really beautiful art piece that I loved enough that it was exactly perfect for where I wanted it. Because for me, my legs are one of my biggest insecurities, just because they are kind of weirdly shaped from having lost a lot of weight. So I got it there because having a reason to want to show off that part of my body gave me a lot of confidence. And that's how on the other side, I got my bondage nun tattoo. So this one is a little bit explicit, obviously, but the reason why was because I kind of wanted to view it as my commitment to the kink lifestyle. The reason behind this tattoo is just the fact that I have a religious kink. Getting this tattoo was really putting that part of myself out there in a way that I can't take back. But that's what I love about it. It's just something that says a lot about me, and I have no regrets. And so the rest of my tattoos have kind of been a little bit random. I'll start with the biggest one. So I have a Cthulhu sleeve on my right calf. It was done by Joe Gettler, who works at Boston Tattoo Company in Somerville, Massachusetts. Joe made a post on Facebook about tattoos that he wanted to do in the upcoming year, and he said he wanted to do something with Cthulhu in it. And I was just like, oh, well, rather than the Kraken, why don't I just do this instead? Because equally cool in my book and in my realm of interest, and it just sounded perfect. And so I decided to go ahead and do it, and we pretty much just freehanded the whole thing. Like, he had done some stencils, but we really just made it up as we went. It's a really different style than the rest of my tattoos because it's meant to be visually confusing. Like, he drew this up while he was listening to H.P. Lovecraft on audio tape. But one of my other favorite tattoos is my single column tie here, which was done by Josh Dix up in Laconia, New Hampshire. And this one, I actually have it's a matching tattoo to my partner, Matt. And for me, I specifically got the Somerville Bolin because when I first started rope, that was the tie that I knew. It's the tie that I would bet my life on when it comes to doing anything with suspension work. And so even though it's not something that I actually tie with very often anymore, it just has such a big part of my history in rope that I wanted to showcase that. Another tattoo of mine is the Archangel Gabriel on my right arm, which is actually a Russian icon piece from the second half of the 12th century. In Russian, its name is Angel Zlatые Vosy, which is angel with the golden hair. And this is to symbolize my trip abroad. I actually spent half a year, about 4 months in St. Petersburg, Russia, because I have a bachelor's degree in Russian language. I took classes at St. Petersburg State University, and it was in Russian. All my teachers were Russian. And one of the classes that I took, we had this lesson on ancient icon pieces because there's a lot of religious history over there and some beautiful art. If you've ever been to the churches, there's a lot of really famous ones. But anyway, when we were learning about it, this is my favorite piece out of everything that we studied. What this icon actually is supposed to symbolize is Archangel Gabriel looking down at the world with sorrow in his eyes for all the sin that he sees. And so this is my piece that I just wanted to document that part of my life because it did absolutely change my life in a lot of ways. So the rest of my tattoos are actually all walk-ins. My very first tattoo was this Cancer Slug tattoo of this piece of band art that I just saw and loved. And the same singer from this band, Cancer Slug, who obviously I'm quite in love with, he also is the singer in the band Doyle, named after Doyle, the original guitarist from the Misfits, and they have this more metal-based band together, and so it's Alex Story in both, and so I wanted to get both art pieces, and because obviously the style is the same. The reason why this was so important to me enough that I wanted it to be my first tattoo was because Cancer Slug is the first band that I listened to that really got me interested in music. It was the first one that spoke to me, because the thing is, I don't like music. I don't listen to music. Like, I don't ever just sit around and listen to music casually. And I could get super sappy about this, but pretty much Cancer Slug is the only band that I listen to with the occasional bouts of Doyle sprinkled in there. And of course, sometimes I listen to other stuff, but we're talking 99% of the time it's only these two bands, and out of that 99%, 90% of it's Cancer Slug. One of my other walk-in tattoos is actually my sternum piece, which is a cat skull. This one I got because I'm a huge cat person, I always have been, and I wanted to get it something to do with a cat. But I didn't want to just get a tattoo of a cat because it didn't fit the feel of the rest of my tattoos. The rest of my tattoos are very kind of like gothic and not quite so feminine as a cat would be, and so I ended up being like, well, why don't I get a cat's skull instead? And I don't know why, but one of the tattoo shops that I went to, the same one that the Russian piece is from, I just knew that I liked all their stuff, so I was like, I don't need an appointment, I'm just gonna walk in, here's a picture, it's what I want. And so that's what I did. Another one of my walk-ins is my rope piece on my arm, and this was a birthday gift to myself one year, really early on when I started doing rope. And the reason why I got this one was because rope became so important to me so quickly that it was just such a huge part of my life, and it was a commitment to being in that lifestyle and a commitment to doing this thing and wanting to progress and learn. It's a piece that represents respect for the art, and literally the picture itself is just something I saved off the internet. If I see something and that's what I want, that's what I want. I don't necessarily need to have something that somebody else doesn't have as far as to these more simple tattoos. And so that concludes the tour of all of my tattoos. I do hope to start creating content again here at some point. This was meant to kind of be dipping my toes back into the water, so we'll see how long it takes me to edit this in the first place, because I've never put like pictures inside videos before, never mind however I'm gonna do the magic of turning my sleeves in the camera, because pictures really do no justice to sleeves, so I felt like that wasn't gonna work for those ones. But yeah, be proud of me for my editing skills here. And I'm gonna go, but I will catch you guys next time. Bye!